Welcome to Backyard Oasis, a podcast designed by and for older adults living in the beautiful Pioneer Valley of Western Massachusetts and produced in the tech studios at Greenfield Community College in Greenfield, Massachusetts. Backyard Oasis reaches out to older adults who seek knowledge to help them live more thoughtfully, healthily, and happily, who hope to inspire others with their ideas, and who serve their communities in the interest of the greater good. We hope you join us frequently in our pleasant backyard oasis for wide-ranging conversations with a diversity of people who are growing older and want to talk about it.
Good day. This is Chad with the Oasis program here at GCC. Serving the elders of Franklin County. Today, our Backyard Oasis program is, we're going to call it home modification for older people in Franklin County. We'll cover a little bit more than that because these programs are not just for the elderly. They do expand beyond to folks with disability and so forth. But let's hold that all aside. I'd like to introduce our guest today. His name's Peter Wingate. He's the Energy Director with Community Action Pioneer Valley. He's worked on energy efficiency and home repair fuel assistance positions throughout central and western Massachusetts since 1987. He's the Vice Chair of the Massachusetts Energy Directors Association. He's a member of the Low Income Energy Affordability Network. And his education includes the University of Iowa. He achieved a BA in political science and sociology. And he's a graduate of the University of Massachusetts in regional planning. So good day, Peter. I thought what I'd do is sort of introduce the field or the ground, the subject, by talking a little bit about some of the statistics involving this issue. There's over 200 million, there's 2 million Americans that have been in car accidents. This creates disability. There's almost 800,000 that have endured a stroke. Our general population nationwide, I don't have it for Franklin County. I believe it's in the 17% range, but nationally is 26% differently abled. That's including developmental disabilities, which we're not talking about today because they're not what we could call physical. Now, to get a little more focus on older folk, by 2030, 73.1 million Americans are going to be in retirement. That means that they're not earning a paycheck each week. They'll probably have a monthly stipend, Social Security, a 401k, et cetera, but their income will be reduced. The median income right now for 65 and over is $22,000 a year. Franklin County, you may know, is the poorest county. Is it the poorest county in the state?
It's certainly, if it's not the poorest, it's right up there. Franklin County is known for that.
Okay, so that may be below that 22. Some people are familiar with ADA, Americans with Disability Act. We worked and got that passed around the Bush administration. It has some general guidelines about how to have an accessible community home, etc. An ADA compliant bathroom. Doesn't mean that your private home must be, but certainly the new ones that are being built need to be. Having a compliant bathroom can be an addition of $25,000 to $50,000 to construct. April of this year, NHBA, it's the builders, the General Contractors Association, said it's an average cost of $4,675 to modify an accessible home. Now that's, all, not just the bathroom, but the rest of the home. Most homes in this area were built before the ADA law came into existence, so they're not in compliance. About 4% of the homes are ADA compliant because they've been built since that time. A program like yours in this state has made 3,000, what I understand, 3,000 homes accessible since 1999, with a $1,000 to a $50,000 cost. This county is looking to move to 1/3 elderly over the next 5 or 10 years. Our homes are pretty old in this area, so I want to congratulate you for bringing a program like this into existence. It's a wonderful thing.
All right,
Can you tell me a little about it? Yeah.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for inviting me here today. It's always great to be at GCC. Chad and I go way back. We had an opportunity to talk, and we started talking about this program that we picked up at Community Action. Let me tell you how we got here. About 5 or 6 years ago, we were in the middle of doing what I think was really good work with energy efficiency. About half the houses, we've always helped to house seniors, so it's been part of our main strength right from day one. But I was talking
about the CAP program.
The Community Action Program, the weatherization, and the fuel assistance. I was talking with my boss, and she basically asked me, "You're doing great, but what are we missing? What's the need out there in the community?" Mm-hmm. And really said, we're going into so many houses. We've got lots of funding to weatherize them, to make sure that they have insulation to keep them warmer. But we're seeing so many houses that it's tough to keep up with some of the repairs. And so we started looking around to see some options, and we came across this potential grant with Housing and Urban Development. And I got to tell you, it felt like a long shot. The grant was huge that we had to fill out. So much paperwork. We didn't know if we had a true shot at it, but we decided to give it a go. We teamed up with LifePath.
That's what I was going to ask. That's when they must have come in.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we brought in LifePath's expertise working with elders, our expertise doing hands-on work on people's homes, and we were so fortunate to find just the right person to hire as a coordinator for this program who has done home repairs as his entire career.
Okay.
We put in our application, and we were only one of 30 across the entire nation that were awarded the grant. So we were pretty excited about that. And Chad, it's one of those moments where you say, "Uh-oh, we got it. Now what do we do?"
Yeah, right. I can do that.
I can do that. Oops, how do we do that? So I'm proud to say we just looked at what we said we're going to do, and that's what we did. So
I love that it has the multidiscipline approach because you get more bang for the buck that way.
Right, absolutely. So we're going into the home. We're not just looking at the repair items. We're looking at kind of a holistic approach to the house and the person who's living there.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't know that.
A big part of what we do. So we have the home repair specialist. And again, Mike is great. Mm-hmm. He knows his stuff. But he also goes in with an occupational therapist. And the occupational therapist is going to sit down with the elder and just talk about things, how their life is going, where there might be some soft things that help them with to make their life better. That's a private conversation just between the occupational therapist and the resident. Mike is not part of that.
HIPAA.
That's right. And then at the end of that day, we start to figure out what can we do in this home and what can we do to make it better, to make it livable, and try to help elders be able to stay in that home as long as they can, much more safely than they might have been doing beforehand.
All right. I saw this quote, 3,000 homes done since 99 with 1,000 to 50,000 in costs. how many do you think you've done, since when, and what has been the range of costs? Can
Sure.
you get a handle on that?
We finished up a little more. It's a 3-year grant. We're a little more than a year into it. We've done about 50 houses. We've got another 30 that are in process right now. Our grant total is, I believe it's 150 that we're going to be doing over the 3-year plan. The amount of money we spend per house really does vary. Some of them just need a couple things. Some houses may just need a handrail that was loose that needs to be tightened up. What LifePath also brings to the board in this process is they have a whole series of volunteers, a lot of volunteers being people who used to be in the trades. They were carpenters or still are carpenters, but they're not doing it professional anymore, but they want to keep contributing to the community. So when we can identify some of the smaller stuff, the volunteers can come in and do that work, really almost at no cost or whatever we need to supply for the materials. If something's a little bigger, if it's something that requires a building permit, then we have, I'm going to call it a stable of contractors that Mike has recruited that do work for us. And these are all contractors, as I was talking to you about earlier, these are all contractors I would be happy to send to my mom's house. We make sure that not only are they good contractors, that they're good people. None of them are making a living off my program.
Yeah, right.
Almost every one of these programs are, every one of these contractors doing this because they see this as a way to give back to the community a little bit.
Yeah, it amazes me the income they forego for an open heart. I enjoy projects. I was a builder, and it's a lot of fun for me seeing something come together. The Survival Center in our town was built by contractors for free with donated goods. So there's a lot of good people out there. All right, you say it's a 3-year grant. When will it be up? And do you think you'll go for another round of funding?
I'm going to start with the second part of that. We just reach out to HUD asking if there's going to be another round of funding because we sure hope so. We're going to make it through our 150 units, and I know there's a lot more need out there beyond 150 units of housing in Hampshire and Franklin County. So we're really counting on getting that grant again. This first round will finish up, I believe it might be October of 2025, if I'm doing my math in my head right.
Okay, so actually a couple of years left.
Yeah, so we have some time left.
All right. And if somebody's interested, they contact Community Action, any specific department?
Yeah, it's housed in the Energy Department. The best thing best phone number to use would be 413-774-2310. And then it's going to give you options, and if you push option number 4, that'll take you right to where you need to go for this program.
Okay, we're going to leave this telephone, fax, email, website, and all the rest of the data with the program notes on our website, so we don't have to repeat the numbers or slow down so you guys can follow us with your pencils and so on. But we'll leave that with on the site. So if I have my own home and the wind is whipping in, the electric bills and other fuel bills are going sky high, I can contact you through Community Action Program in Greenfield. And it's not too late to get in the program.
No, it's not at all. We encourage people to contact us. In fact, as soon as you hear this, reach right out to us.
Is there? Can you give me? I'm thinking of a map with. I see things graphically. A map with scattered with shotgun edit of where your homes generally are. Are they all from Shelburne to Orange, or?
They are from Shelburne to Orange to South Hadley to Ware to Chesterfield. We are all over both counties. We do a little bit of work in the North Quabbin region as well. So don't want anybody to count themselves out because they might feel like they live too far away from Greenfield. I happen to drive to work to Greenfield every day, but we do work all across the 2 counties.
All right, you mentioned a little about a program in a home. When you stated grab bars, I guess those could be around the toilet and bathtub. What are some of the other things? I'd like to leave the whole issue of weatherization aside for a minute.
Sure.
And just talk about these accessibility issues. What are some of the things that go into that?
So I think the most common thing that we've come across, of course, the grab bars are a very common one, but another one we see so often, just a simple stairway where the treads are bad. It's a trip and fall hazard. It's an easy fix for a professional. It could be the handrail loosened up, needs to be taken off and tightened back up, put back together. So it's not always really big, difficult projects. Rarely do people have to have their lives disrupted too much.
Okay.
We come in, make the repair. Again, we really make sure everybody we have involved with the program is pleasant human beings. We really see the customer service part of this as important. But we think we make a real impact. It's a podcast, so I can't show you pictures. But if I could show you pictures, we've just got some wonderful before and after pictures, especially of stairways leading up to homes where you and I would not want to go up in those stairs on the before. And then with the after, it's just the beautiful quality of work that can get done.
So I want to accent the word repair as opposed to modification. It is called home modification, but most of the work you're finding is repair. Is that true?
Yeah, we can do some things a little bigger than that. We've certainly done some ramps. In one case, we were even able to piece it together. We had a couple whose only bathroom was on the second floor, and one of them could not make it up the stairs, or it would take literally a large amount of time to get people up the stairs to use that bathroom. And we're able to put in one of those little electronic ramps that you
Holy
see.
cow.
People sit down and take them upstairs.
Okay.
That was a big win for us. That was really exciting to be able to pull that off.
All right. Tell me a little about your biggest project. Or
I think the totality of all the different projects is more so than any one project. We're really designed, most of the work we do, $5,000 or less.
Okay.
It's amazing what we can do, especially since we use a lot of volunteer labor. Even a contractor who's not trying to make a living off it, they do
Right.
have to charge a living wage. So if we can have some of that done by volunteers so it doesn't cut into the amount of money we spend, that
Beautiful.
leaves more money to do things like ramps. Ramps, as you know, can be really expensive.
yes.
So that we have the capability of doing all those things since LifePath is providing that volunteer labor, which again, can't stress it enough. This is not me who's barely able to swing a ladder. These are, or a ladder or a hammer. I've swung a ladder wrong a few times as well, but that's a different story. But these are people who know what they're doing. They come in, they do a beautiful job. They have a crew chief who works for LifePath, Mark Devlin, who does a great job keeping that all organized. So I'm going to go back to just good people doing really good work.
Sounds like it. Sounds like it. Is there any age restriction for who can? I mean, they are loans, correct? When
This is actually a grant, so this is just a free service.
okay,
And this
because-
is for, you need to have somebody in the house 62 years old or older.
Oh, okay. There is an age. Yeah, slipped my thought there. I was trying to get to something else. It is Franklin and Hampshire counties, both.
Franklin and Hampshire, we have 4 towns in Worcester County. We've got
Holy
Athol,
cow.
Petersham, Phillipston, and Royalston.
Oh,
as well.
because of the north of Quabbin issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, if anybody listening lives in one of those towns, we've actually not served anybody in those towns, so we'd really like to fill out the grant. So if you live there, reach out, definitely.
Okay, one thing I read on the National was that these consultants and contractors don't have any reporting requirements on what they've done. So I'm trying to see if there's some way that we can get a handle on the real benefit that this has created. Oftentimes when you document the benefit of a program, people can really see what the needs are, and it continues, expands, gets refunded, etc. Do you have any of those kind of requirements to report what's been done? And
since this is federal money and through HUD, we do have a
Okay.
lot of reporting. So we do a lot of reporting. I will say we don't have enough history. What I'm hoping to be able to say is after the services we provide through this program, elders, I'm going to make up a number here. It's what I hope
Yeah.
for. Elders who are able to stay in their homes 10 years longer. That's what I'm hoping for. I think there's a strong possibility of that just because I see what type of work is being done. And it's got to make it safer. Again, if you have some mobility issues and you have a broken stair and that's what you're going up and down every day, just having that fixed just increases the chance that you're going to be safe in your home a lot. You're going to be able to stay there a lot longer.
Okay. When I hear the details from a local like yourself, it makes me happy because nationally they're saying, quote, aging in place. I did a podcast on isolation, loneliness. It's a catchword in the services to older people field right now. Aging in place is another catchword that's hot. On the national scene, I'm seeing a lot of information that talks about it's too expensive to help somebody age in place in their home. That aging in place includes actually what's happened in my life. I lost my home to the Great Recession. I'm now in Section 8. Aging in place can include staying in your community where you're known, where you know others, where you're comfortable, where you're familiar, etc. But this, I live in Amherst, which is a little more urban. This sounds like it's really adapted to Franklin and these outlying areas because we have a national housing shortage. Rural areas, it's even more intense. This really sounds like a way to age in place to me because of the cost savings that are done through the process that you use.
Right. Now, I think you talked about a little bit earlier the housing stock we have here in New England, especially in Western Massachusetts. We have wonderful old homes.
Yep.
But those of us are aging. We all, as we age, I'm there too. We all need to have some self-care. So that's some of what we're providing is some of that self-care to keep these wonderful old homes habitable. And again, this process, we don't want to scare anybody off. What we're doing are just those little home modifications, just those home repairs to make it possible for you to stay in your home. Once in a while, we run across a home that is just beyond the scope of this program. And if that happens, we'll talk with you about, there might be some other options that aren't through community action, but there might be some other options out there. And we'll talk you through that and help you find some other possible solutions.
I have not been a contractor since the early 90s. Those homes are now reaching their lifespan, 30 years. It's time for a repaint. It's time for a re-roof. It's time for a new water heater tank. It's time for this. It's time for that. The homes that we're talking about in this area are much older than that, maybe 100 years older than that. So, they have really good bones. These are stud built. These are still post and beam, maybe a hybrid, 100 year. The turn of the century, 1900, it was a change from post and beam, starting to go to balloon frame. So you have a lot of hybrid. But these are places that can last 200-300 years, not like Europe, 400 to 800 years, but they have some lifespan in them, which is really great.
It's also, I've done this for a long time. I never get tired of going into homes and seeing the different ways people put their homes together. And these older homes, so often, somebody built it who's lost the history 150 years ago, but then a whole series of different people have moved into that house, and somebody may have put on an addition, somebody may have changed a wall, somebody may have changed a window, changed where a door is. And some of us are better home carpenters than others, so there's a lot of opportunities where somebody may have done something that was good enough for the time, but it just needs a little TLC. So that's where we come in to try to make those things better and to get them set up for another 10 years.
Does any of your work include still on the modification for older folks? Does any of your work include crazy things like plumbing and electricity, or?
We certainly, there's some accessible things, just speaking frankly, making sure people can use all the different apparatuses in the bathroom. Can you get up and down off the toilet? These are important things. We all do this. We all need to have the dignity to be able to do these things. Can you get in and out of your tub safely? So making sure that people can use their home the way that they've been accustomed to using it forever, knowing that what they could do in the past, they might need to do a little differently. So again, back to a well-positioned grab bar can just be a huge difference.
That's our necessary room, let's call it.
There we go.
Has there been cases where somebody couldn't have access during the construction process?
We've not run into that in the past. However, when we put the grant together, we did put some money aside. So if there was a case that we had to have somebody out of the home for a night or two, we would have a way to deal with that as well.
Okay, yeah, national again. I see people in, nationally, I see people in hotels for, 2 weeks and that sort of thing. But, that's not the case here. Good. All right, I see we're getting close to time. Is there anything that you think I've left out or that you'd like to mention?
I think, certainly go to the website at Community Action and you can see the income qualifications. It is for people who meet a certain income qualifications. They're really fairly generous. I'm not going to list off all the numbers, but for a household of one, can make up to $56,549.
I saw that,
so we try to be pretty inclusive with who we can help. And whatever you do, don't self-select out. Don't think that your need is too little. Don't think somebody else needs this more than you do. Let us come in and talk to you and take a look, and we'll figure out what can be done. And if there's nothing we can do, we'll let you know that as well.
Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, a lot of us drop out because we say, no, not for me. Find out. Talk to the people. See what they have to say. All right. Well, it's nice meeting you here again. I don't know what kind of projects we'll be involved together with in the future, but I hope there's more of them. I want to thank you for coming in today, and thanks to the listeners. More podcasts to come. Take care.
This concludes today's podcast. We're always looking for new ideas, so feel free to reach out to Judy Raper, Associate Dean of Community Engagement at Greenfield Community College, at 413-775-1819. If you have an idea you'd love to share. Special thanks to the creators of Backyard Oasis, Denise Schwartz, Chad Fuller, Dennis Lee, and Christine Copeland. Have a great day.